So for summary 2 for the power of habit, we're supposed to talk about how the formation of habits are in families and how you change in families and how to apply that. So a couple things that we learned in the second section of the book is that there are keystone habits and willpower. Keystone habits are habits that if you change this one habit, it tends to influence the rest of your habits. Like Michael Phelps, his coach gave him visualizing exercises and made him push like it was game day all the time until eventually all that exercising and diet and stretching and all those other habits that also needed to happen those keystone habits of visualizing and pushing yourself hard throughout practice kind of went throughout his whole entire life that set him up to be the great athlete that he is. And those keystone habits, when they spill into your life, are called small wins. And that willpower can become automatic. And that willpower is the single most important part of a keystone habit for individual success. And that willpower is a skill, or if you will, a mental muscle, and that you have to exercise it to keep it in shape. But at the same time, like any muscle, you can over fatigue it. So let's say you want to do a big long run because you're training for a marathon. If you're going to wait till you get off work, you're going to have to conserve your willpower muscle throughout the day to not over fatigue it so you won't quit on your run later that day. Also, different things that they use as the power of crisis. Crisis involves a time when tragedy or something really big happens, but during that time is when it's the best time to implement new habits and changes, and most people are malleable to these changes, businesses and individuals. So for formation of habits for families, I think it's more based on your family's cultures and traditions and your parents and your grandparents and how they've done things and how they grow up. So, if your dad is an early riser and makes sure the entire family gets up by 8 a.m. every single morning, Monday through Sunday, that will eventually spill over into other things. So if you're getting up early in the day, they tend to do more. They probably have chores or getting up and going to school and things like that. So those are some habits that you can get from your family. Also, your eating habits, like do we eat dessert or do we not eat dessert after every meal? Do you, drink water with your meal? Do you drink enough water throughout the day? I think that's all based on culture and what you have at each meal. Is it balanced? Do you come from a family that, we eat at home or we eat out at fast food? And a lot of families nowadays have issues where they're just so busy between kids and all their sports activities and work, and they're very, very fatigued, or their willpower muscle is kind of gone down. So, they give in to things and use the convenience foods and fast foods, and then that leads into other health problems and like larger families. So there's that. And then how do you change a habit in families? It's usually going to take, like they said, a keystone habit to create real change. So like I said, mom and dad work long hours and mom's got to make dinner, and it's just more days out of not she's not cooking because she's exhausted, but she's got a lot to do. So what does she do? Let's say, she goes to McDonald's every day for her coffee after work. She just needs that little boost of time. Well, she can maybe help her family to change their eating habits and eating better at home if maybe she just waited the extra 15 or 20 or 30 minutes until she got home and had her coffee when she got home. So she was already home, so she could just make the meals. Or, maybe make it a family thing where everyone has their own part so she doesn't have to be the only one doing the meals. Or another thing could be just meal prepping to help the family when you're busy. Sometimes it really is a busy time and you've got soccer games and baseball games and all that practice. And so maybe on Sundays it's meal prep day for the family and they make crock pot meals or something like that. Other ways you could probably apply this is, instead of not cleaning up the kitchen, clean up the kitchen, and go for a 30-minute walk instead of, sitting down in front of the television, getting your family more active if that's a problem. Or even the fact of eating at the table rather than, eating in front of a television, because they say you can just eat and eat and eat in front of a television when you're not paying attention. So things like other Keystone habits for successful kids, like making sure, like, if they have homework and they want to play, that's their reward. So if they sit down after they've had their little break and their afternoon snack when they get off the bus, that they have to do their homework, and until it's finished, they can't go out. So eventually they'll just do their homework so they can go out and play. And the other thing at the end was about Target, and that they now have analysts to track us, which is just crazy. I guess kind of like the thing about moms. If moms are buying healthier foods, especially if they're tracking you, maybe they'll give you more incentives for healthier foods and maybe help entice your Keystone habit to keep going. So that's kind of my take on families and habits, and that they're passed down, and it usually takes the whole entire family's commitment to change things.